是从这里长得顶出来了，所以说这里都。我们还是老规矩啊，把这个后路给它断了，然后再把指甲给它取出来。清的还是比较深的这种。好了，可以了啊，可以的。下来再去牵着它。来啊，角度找好，看着指甲，来，后面推。这么大一块。不顶了吧？没事了是吧？就这大个这么大一块这顶了。另外一侧啊，一侧几个月了？4个月了是吧？
这个5个月。
5个月了。
这边这个先长，左边这个先长的。
这边也可以了，看看这边有多大一块啊！小乖乖给我出来！两个尖儿，都是自己剪了100留下的，舒服了吧？是不是？100啃了几个月？对了。
什么呀？这是个小棍儿啊，害怕呀？不用害怕，你看手机，看手机你看得见。
急性甲沟炎啊。
不疼，不用害怕。
说那个有可能他活动多了也不一定。
这大脓包，穿这么老远。
脚还有那个什么血小了什么的。哎呦，给人家一挤排出好多脓。
他的难受的时候都一蹦一蹦的疼，是不是？
啊？
是不是感觉他都一蹦一蹦的疼？
对。好，看着真恶心。
不要动哈，有不舒服。
是我发给你了，你看到没？最后他说那个什么60支的215，还是218忘了，那195啊。 然后那个4支加厚。
今天弄完晚上晚一点吧，就舒服点了，它就不那么疼了。
我就问他，我说60支的能不能降到200？那个40支的能不能降到180？
它沿着就从这边上穿过去的。你躺着吧，躺着看着手机就看得见你这里了。
我也不用死乞白咧的，现在就给大概给他说个数。
不用害怕，是不疼的啊！你看这个脓，老多脓了，这。你摘不来，你这个指甲盖都保不住。
对，他找别人家的，你的我是给他接他，他给我把你们那个你们卖的那个单的那个发我，我都不要这个。是，我说。
在学校有受伤吗？被同学踩到这种没有？
我说我要今天被踩了，要发那个。
被踩了一下。
就轻轻的踩。
你这两天弄完要小心啊，别让同学踩到了啊！你看，就是这个指甲的原因，
我给他
就这个指甲的原因，然后导致他发炎，发炎之后严重串了，就这么多脓。
我说那个什么，他跟我说呢，你放心，河南的我都刚河南的都是我发的。然后他就把那个发过来了，把你们家那个。
疼不疼？还好吧？就这个感觉，不用害怕啊。
我要说那个让他发过来，咱约个时间，咱俩去看一眼。周4、周5呗。周5你是不是要接孩子？那不行。那不行，就咱俩就周5吧。周5下午去呗。吃完午饭，咱俩也别吃午饭了，现在哪儿不安全，给流掉了。
老多脓了。
是啊。有可能。怕流掉啊。我一看流掉。好吧，真是该做还得做。多少人？10几个。开吧，10几个不完成一组，慢慢干。点这么多老师。
可以预约都不见啊。
有进了吗？
这样碰到疼不疼？
还行。
还好啊。要难受就跟叔叔讲啊。
是啊，你这不就干完了吗
？When a practitioner and a cat accompany each other, will they create a good relationship or cause karma? In the ancient King Quan Temple on the misty Wufeng Mountain, an incredible story is being played out. Donor, may you be safe and blessed every year. If you are willing to share this pure kindness with us, please pay attention and let the good thoughts turn into ripples and spread across the world. A small white cat with a unique orange pattern on its forehead seems ordinary, but it makes the whole temple fall into weirdness. The lamp for worship goes out for no reason. Mysterious footsteps are heard in the middle of the night, and paw prints appear inexplicably on the cassock. Is all this a coincidence, or is there something else going on? As the story unfolds, a cause and effect story that has been sealed for 500 years is about to be slowly revealed. Deep in the mountains, King Guan Temple stands there quietly like an old man who is isolated from the world. Surrounded by clouds and mist, it seems to have been covered with a mysterious veil. There are 4 monks living in the temple. The presiding monk, Master Fa Kong, is nearly 70 years old. He has a kind face and profound attainments in Buddhist practice, and is deeply respected by everyone. Among the young monks, the most diligent and studious one is Wuxian. He has been a monk for 12 years. In addition to completing his morning and evening homework on time every day, he often meditates alone in the bamboo forest behind the temple, studying Buddhism, and wholeheartedly pursuing spiritual practice and sublimation. It was a quiet autumn afternoon. The sun shone through the dense bamboo leaves, casting patches of mottled light and shadow. Wuxian, as usual, strolled leisurely in the bamboo forest, enjoying this rare quiet time and immersed in the thinking of Buddhism. A weakened, somewhat miserable meow sound broke the tranquility and reached Wuxian's ears. The sound sounded full of helplessness and pain, as if asking for help. Wuxian was startled and looked in the direction of the sound. He saw a little white cat curled up in a thorn bush. The kitten was snow white, but its fur was dirty and messy, because it was stained with dirt and blood. Only its forehead and the tip of its tail had unique orange patterns, like carefully painted flowers, which were particularly eye-catching against the snow-white fur. At this moment its green eyes were full of fear and pleading, and it was looking at Wu Xin pitifully. Its eyes seemed to be telling its own tragic experience, which made people feel distressed. Wu Xin walked forward, quickly, squatted down and asked softly, "Little guy, how are you injured? Who made you like this?" The kitten seemed to understand Wu Xian's words and meowed again, with a hint of intimacy in its voice, and slowly rubbed Wu Xian's hand. Wu Xin looked down and found that the kitten's hind legs were seriously injured. The wound was bloody and bleeding, and the surrounding hair was stained red with blood. Touching the kitten's body again, it was so thin that it was almost skin and bones. It must have not eaten for a long time. Wuxian was filled with compassion. He remembered the Buddhist doctrine of compassion, knew that all living beings have Buddha nature and should be cared for and helped. So he took off his monk's robe without hesitation and carefully wrapped the kitten up gently, for fear of hurting it. Then, Wuxian held the kitten and walked quickly to the temple, determined to take good care of it and heal its wounds. Back at the temple, Wuxian hurried to find herbs to treat the wound. He carefully crushed the herbs and gently applied them to the kitten's wound. Every move was extremely cautious. While applying the medicine, he also whispered to comfort the kitten, "Don't be afraid. Bear it. It won't hurt." After applying the herbs. After applying the medicine, he carefully bandaged the kitten's wound with a clean cloth to ensure that the wound would not be infected again. Wuxian carefully built a warm and comfortable nest for the kitten in the corner of his Zen room. He found some soft hay and old cloth, spread them in the nest, and even separated some of his own rations, which he was reluctant to eat, and carefully fed them to the kitten. The kitten seemed to feel Wuxian's kindness, and from then on, it became very well behaved, never running around or barking in the Zen room, always quietly lying in the nest to rest, or silently following Wuxian, walking around the temple with eyes full of dependence. Master Fa Kong learned that Wuxian had brought back a kitten, so he came to check it out. When he saw the kitten, his eyes instantly became focused and solemn, staring closely at the orange pattern on the kitten's forehead, and carefully looked at it for a long time. Then, he frowned and asked Wuxian, "Have you ever noticed the pattern on its forehead? This pattern is not ordinary." Wuxian replied, "I found it. It looks like a flower, so I thought I would call it Hua Hua." Master Fa Kong nodded and said, "Since it is destined to be with you, then keep it. However, cats are special creatures with special spirituality, and their origins with Buddhism are also very complicated. You must pay more attention to it and never take it lightly." Hua Hua has officially settled down in Qinghuan Temple. In the first few days, everything was still calm. Hua Hua lived leisurely in the temple every day, and Wuxian took care of it as always. The days were plain and warm. However, the good times did not last long. After a few days, a series of strange things happened in the temple, one after another, breaking the tranquility. First, the long burning lamps enshrined in the main hall had abnormal conditions. The monks had just filled the lamp oil, the wicks were trimmed neatly, but these lamps always went out suddenly without any signs. No matter how everyone checked or relit the lights, it would not be long before the lights went out inexplicably, as if a mysterious force was at work. That night strange things happened frequently in the temple. In the quiet corridor, there was often a faint click-click sound of footsteps, which sounded soft, as if someone was walking on tiptoe. Whenever the monks heard the sound, they held up lanterns and carefully checked, but found that the corridor was empty and nothing could be seen. But when they returned to the room, the footsteps would sound again, which was chilling. What was even more creepy was that one morning, the little monk woke up and was horrified to find that his cassock was covered with fine claw marks. These claw marks were clearly visible, as if they had been scratched by some animal. The little monk was so scared that his face turned pale, and he immediately told the other monks about it. The temple was suddenly in a panic, and everyone felt very scared and uneasy. These strange things quickly spread in the temple, and the monks talked about it. Some monks believed that Hua was an ominous creature that brought disaster to the temple, and insisted on driving it away to prevent the temple from continuing to suffer misfortune. Some monks thought that the temple was contaminated with evil spirits, and a grand ritual needed to be held as soon as possible to drive away these ominous spirits, and some monks suspected that some demons and ghosts had entered the temple, which lead to such bizarre phenomena. Faced with everyone's discussions and speculations, Wuxian was very entangled in his heart. He looked at the cute and well-behaved Hua and couldn't believe that these strange things were caused by it. In Wuxian's eyes, Hua has always been very docile, never making trouble, and never showing any malice. He firmly believed that Hua was innocent, but faced with the strange events in the temple one after another, he was also very confused and didn't know what to do. One night, Wuxian meditated in the Zen room as usual, trying to calm his heart and find a way to solve the problem. Suddenly, a piercing cold wind blew into the Zen room, and Wuxian felt cold all over and became alert. He slowly opened his eyes, and the scene in front of him surprised him. He saw Hua stood up at some point, standing upright, with her eyes flashing with a faint blue light, revealing a mysterious and majestic aura, staring straight at Wuxian. Wuxian was startled, and his heartbeat instantly accelerated, but he quickly forced himself to calm down, plucked up the courage and asked softly, Hua, what's wrong with you? Why are you like this? Unexpectedly, Hua opened her mouth and made a human voice. The voice was low and hoarse, as if it came from a distant place with a hint of vicissitudes and fatigue. Wuxian, are you willing to do me a favor? I have waited for 500 years, and finally I have waited for the destined person, that is you. Wuxian was so shocked that his eyes widened, his mouth opened wide, and he couldn't speak for a long time. He never thought that Hua, who could only meow on weekdays, could actually speak human language. All this was really incredible. Seeing Wuxian's astonishment, Hua began to tell her story. It turns out that 500 years ago, there was an ancient temple on this mountain, called Lingmao Temple. There were many monks living in the temple who chanted scriptures and worshipped Buddha every day and practiced with great concentration. There was an ordinary kitten in the temple. Because it lived in such an environment full of Buddhist atmosphere for many years, it gradually became intelligent and became more human. The monks in the temple found that the kitten was very smart, could understand their words, and often made some amazing moves, so they regarded it as a member of the temple and cared for it. On a cold and snowy night, Lingmao Temple suffered a huge disaster. A group of vicious robbers broke into the temple under the pretext of asking for help. As soon as they entered the temple, they showed their true colors, searched for treasures in the temple, robbed anything they saw, and wantonly destroyed the buildings and Buddha statues in the temple. When their evil deeds were discovered by the kitten, the angry robbers actually set fire to the Sutra Pavilion. The raging fire burned instantly, and the fire spread rapidly, and the whole temple was engulfed in a sea of fire. At that time, there was a monk named Hua Ming in the temple. He was kind and brave and was deeply respected by everyone in the temple. Seeing the temple in disaster, Master Hua Ming rushed into the sea of fire without hesitation and rescued many monks. Just as he was about to rush into the hall again to save the abbot, the kitten sensed with its keen intuition that the hall was about to collapse. It was anxious and immediately rushed forward to try to stop Master Hua Ming, calling him non-stop and pulling his clothes. However, Master Hua Ming was only thinking about saving the abbot at this time, thinking that the kitten was disturbed by the fireworks and stopped him. He didn't have time to think about it, pushed the kitten away and rushed into the hole resolutely. At the moment when Master Hua Ming entered, there was a loud boom, and the hall collapsed. Master Hua Ming was buried under the ruins and never came out again. Since then, the kitten's heart has been full of guilt and self-blame. It feels that it was because it did not stop Master Hua Ming that this tragedy happened. Its soul has been guarding the ruins of Lingmao Temple, unwilling to leave, day after day, year after year, waiting for the opportunity to help Master Hua Ming to be liberated and let his soul rest in peace. 500 years is an extremely long time for a kitten. It silently persevered in loneliness and pain until it met Wuxian. Hua felt the same compassionate atmosphere as Master Hua Ming from Wuxian, and determined that he was the reincarnation of Master Hua Ming, so she followed him all the time, hoping to use his power to fulfill her wish. Wuxian was filled with mixed feelings after listening to Hua's story. He was moved by Hua's deep feelings for Master Hua Ming, and also understood the reasons behind a series of strange things that happened in the temple. He looked at Hua's expectant and pleading eyes, and said firmly, Hua, since you believe in me and believe that I have a connection with Master Hua Ming, I will do my best to help you fulfill your wish. But how can we help Master Hua Ming to transcend? Hua told Wuxian that after Master Hua Ming passed away, his relics were hidden in a secret place near the ruins of Lingmao Temple. Only by finding the relics and holding a grand ritual to transcend the soul can the soul of Master Hua Ming be liberated, and he can let go of his obsession and end the 500 years of waiting. Under the leadership of Hua, Wuxian and several monks set out on the journey to find the ruins of Lingmao Temple at dawn with a nervous but determined move. The road in the mountains is rugged and difficult to walk, with steep slopes and dense forests everywhere, and every step is very difficult. Moreover, from time to time, the cries of wild beasts can be heard, which makes people terrified. But in order to help Hua fulfill his wish, everyone did not retreat at all and moved towards the destination step by step. Finally, after a difficult journey, they found the ruins of Lingmao Temple in a valley. The scene in front of them made people feel deeply moved. The once glorious temple was now only left with broken walls and overgrown with weeds, which looked very desolate. When Hua saw the ruins, she couldn't wait to run over and kept shuttling through the ruins, as if looking for something. Suddenly Hua stopped under an old locust tree. It kept digging the soil on the ground with its claws and meowing at Wuxian, as if to indicate that there was something here. Seeing this, Wuxian and the monks hurried forward, picked up tools, and started digging under the old locust tree. Not long after digging, an ancient stone box appeared in front of everyone. Wuxian carefully opened the stone box, and saw that it contained the relics of Master Hua Ming and a string of yellow Buddhist beads. Looking at these precious relics, everyone felt very excited, as if they saw the hope of completing the ritual of salvation. They carefully put away the relics and beads, and returned to King Quan Temple with reverence. After Master F.A. Kong learned that Master Huan Ming's relics were found, he decided to personally hold a ritual for Master Huan Ming to transcend. When the monks in the temple learned of the news, they all took action. Everyone worked together to decorate the main hall solemnly. On the altar, the Buddha statue was solemn. The incense smoke in the incense burner curled up, and the candlelight flickered, emitting a soft light. Master Huan Ming's relics were placed in the center of the altar, surrounded by flowers and offerings, and everything was ready. Hua lay quietly beside the altar, with her eyes full of expectation and tension. She stared at the altar intently, as if waiting for an important moment to come. The ritual began, and Master F.A. Kong led the monks to chant in unison. The melodious and solemn chanting echoed in the hall, as if it could penetrate time and space and reach people's hearts. As the scriptures were recited, magical things happened. The relic of Master Huan Ming suddenly emitted a dazzling light, which became brighter and brighter, illuminating the entire hall. In the light, the figure of Master Huan Ming seemed to appear. He put his hands together, smiled, and nodded to everyone. When Hua saw this scene, tears of excitement flowed from his eyes. He bowed deeply to the figure of Master Huan Ming, and murmured to himself, as if telling about 500 years of longing and guilt. The ritual of salvation lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. During this period, the monks chanted scriptures continuously, and their voices were full of piety and blessings. At dawn on the 3rd day, when the first ray of sunlight penetrated the clouds and sprinkled into the main hall, the light of the relic gradually dissipated, and the figure of Master Huan Ming disappeared. At the same time, Hua's body began to emit a soft light, and its eyes were full of gratitude and relief. Hua stood up and bowed deeply to Wuxian, Master F.A. Kong, and other monks. With a choking voice, she said, "Thank you for your compassion and help. Master Huan Ming has been liberated and my wish has finally been fulfilled. For the past 500 years, I have been bound by guilt, but now I can finally let it go. I will follow the Dharma to the west, and perhaps I will be reincarnated or become a guardian deity. No matter where I go, I will always remember your kindness." After saying this, Hua's body gradually became transparent, and finally turned into a ball of light and disappeared into the sky. After Hua left, King Quan Temple returned to its former tranquility, and those strange things never happened again. After this incident, Wuxian had a deeper understanding and perception of the cause and effect cycle in Buddhism. He understood that everything in the world has cause and effect, and every encounter is arranged by fate, and behind every fate, there may be an unknown story hidden. In the spring of a year later, everything revived, and the whole world was full of vitality. Wuxian was meditating in the bamboo forest behind the temple as usual. Suddenly, a familiar meow sound came into his ears. He slowly opened his eyes and saw a snow-white kitten with an orange pattern on its forehead, walking towards him with light steps. The appearance of this kitten is exactly the same as Hua in the past. The orange pattern on its forehead is like a copy and paste, like a blooming flower. The kitten walked to Wuxian, rubbed his legs gently, and then sat down obediently. Its pair of green eyes flashed with innocent light, and it looked at Wuxian without blinking, with intimacy and dependence in its eyes. Wuxian looked at the kitten in front of him, and showed a warm smile on his face. He knew that this was fate pulling him again, and a new story would quietly begin in King Quan Temple. On the path of practice, every encounter and every experience is an opportunity to grow in practice. Just like the story of Wuxian and Hua, it seems accidental, but it actually contains profound Buddhist wisdom. It reminds us that we should treat all beings with compassion, understand the cause and effect with wisdom, and let go of the obsession in our hearts, so that we can get real liberation and peace on the road of life. As for the fate of practitioners and cats, perhaps the answer is hidden in the long bell, waiting for every person with a predestined relationship to explore and understand. In those distant years, a quiet and peaceful place, Kaiyuan Jingxi, is like a piece of pure land in the world, exuding an extraordinary atmosphere. In the Jingxi, ancient trees are towering with lush branches and leaves, covering the world. The breeze blows, and the leaves rustle, as if playing a silent Sanskrit sound. The gurgling springs are pleasant to the ears, echoing with the morning bells and evening drums from afar, creating a solemn, quiet and peaceful atmosphere. At this time, the Buddha sat on the lotus throne, emitting a soft and compassionate light all over his body, like a warm sun, illuminating the entire Jingxi. The 4 groups of disciples reverently surrounded the Buddha. They were dressed in simple monk robes, with calm and focused faces, and their eyes revealed their desire and admiration for the Dharma. Everyone held their breath and concentrated, fearing that they would miss every word of the Buddha, as if these words were the beacon that could guide them out of the sea of suffering. Among the crowd, a wealthy businessman named Nanduo was particularly eye-catching. Although he was dressed in gorgeous brocade clothes and precious jewelry, showing his wealth, his haggard look, trembling hands, and a body that seemed to be so weak that it seemed like it would fall at any time formed a sharp contrast with his wealth. His eyes were full of pain and confusion, and the deep dark circles under his eyes and pale face all told of the hardships he had suffered from the strange disease for many years. Although he was wealthy and had countless wealth, and could enjoy the glory and wealth of the world, a mysterious and incurable strange disease followed him like a shadow, making him struggle in endless pain. Nanduo knelt on the ground with difficulty, his voice full of pain and confusion, and he trembled and said, "Master, I really don't understand why I have countless wealth, but am plagued by illness. If there is a previous life, then I must have done many evil things. If there is no previous life, where does this pain come from?" His words were as full of helplessness and questioning of fate, and his painful expression moved everyone present. The Buddha looked at Nanduo compassionately, his eyes full of pity and wisdom, and slowly said, "Good, you asked a good question. The karma created by sentient beings in the 6 realms of reincarnation is immeasurable and boundless. Good karma brings happiness, while bad karma brings pain. Disease is a manifestation of karma." The Buddha's voice was steady and soft, as if there was a magical power that could soothe people's inner anxiety and pain. Abulavus Akabot Histofel was sitting. He stood up with an elegant and solemn posture, put his hands together, and said respectfully, "Buddha, since illness is the manifestation of karma in previous lives, do different illnesses represent different karma? Please explain in detail to all living beings." Abulavus Akabot Histofel's voice was clear and pleasant, full of compassion and wisdom. Her question also expressed the doubts in the hearts of many disciples present. The Buddha nodded slightly, with a positive light in his eyes, and said, "That's right. Those who have headaches and dizziness may have beaten and scolded their parents and elders in their previous lives. Those who have back pain may have despised the 3 jewels. Those who have numb hands and feet may have been stingy and unwilling to give. Those who have heart disease may have had evil thoughts and hurt others. All illnesses have causes." The Buddha's words were like a key, opening the door to everyone's doubts about the relationship between illness and karma, and allowing everyone to have a deeper understanding of karma and reincarnation. There was a doctor named Ki Bo in the Dharma assembly. He was the most famous medical master at the time, with superb medical skills and a far-reaching reputation. After hearing the Buddha's teachings, he fell into deep contemplation. After a moment he stood up and asked respectfully, "Master, if the disease is caused by the karma of the previous life, then the medical skills and drugs in this world are useless." Kibo's question represents the confusion of many people about the relationship between medicine and Buddhism, and also triggered the thinking of everyone present. The Buddha smiled and replied, "No. Although the karma is determined, the karma can be transformed. Just like a wheel stuck in a quagmire, it is difficult to get out of it by brute force alone. It is necessary to unload the burden to get out smoothly. The effect of medicine is one of the convenient ways to reduce karma." The Buddha's metaphor is vivid, which made everyone understand the role of medicine in Buddhism and gave everyone a new understanding of the treatment of diseases. After hearing this, Nandu still had doubts and asked anxiously, "Master, I am stupid and don't understand how to dissolve bad karma with good karma." His eyes were full of desire, eager to get the Buddha's guidance and get rid of the torture of illness. The Buddha patiently explained, "Reciting scriptures, repenting, practicing charity, observing precepts and making progress are all good ways to eliminate karma. What is more important is to understand cause and effect, stay in the present, and not complain or hate." The Buddha's words were like a clear spring, nourishing Nandu's heart and inspiring everyone present. Guanyin Bodhisattva then added, "I have seen many sentient beings with the same illness. Some are in agony while others can face it calmly. The difference lies in the mentality. If the heart is attached, the illness will worsen. If the heart is open, the pain will be halved." Guanyin Bodhisattva's words made everyone understand the importance of mentality when facing illness, and also made everyone begin to reflect on their attitude when facing illness. Nandu seemed to understand after hearing this, and sighed, "So that's it. I used to only seek my own recovery, and never thought that this was to repay the debt of the previous life. From now on, I will face it with the right mentality." There was a firm light in his eyes, as if he had found the direction to get rid of the pain of illness. An elderly monk in the audience raised a deeper question. "Buddha, we practitioners often suffer from illness and pain. How should we understand this?" This question triggered everyone's thinking about the relationship between practice and illness and pain, and everyone was looking forward to the Buddha's answer. The Buddha said kindly, "Good. Practitioners should understand the nature of illness and pain. Practitioners who observe the precepts still suffer from illness and pain, which shows that karma cannot be eliminated overnight. But there are three major differences between practitioners and ordinary people. First, they understand cause and effect and are not panicked. Second, they make good use of illness and pain to increase wisdom. Third, they use it to eliminate karma and accelerate liberation." The Buddha's answer gave practitioners a deeper understanding of their own illness and pain, and also made them understand the significance of illness and pain in practice. Nandu continued to ask, "Buddha, if we practice diligently now, can we completely eliminate illness?" His question represents the expectations of many people on the relationship between practice and disease. Everyone hopes to get rid of the troubles of disease through practice. Buddha smiled and shook his head, saying, "Karma follows us everywhere and is difficult to avoid completely. Even when Buddha appeared in the world, he would have headaches and backaches. The difference is that ordinary people suffer from illness, but saints can turn illness into a helper for practice." Buddha's answer made everyone understand the universality of disease and the different states of practitioners and ordinary people when facing disease. This answer made everyone think deeply. Yes, even Buddha can show illness, What does this mean? Perhaps the disease itself is not terrible, but our attitude and method in facing the disease. At this time, Guanyin Bodhisattva took a step forward and asked respectfully, Master, you just said that disease is the settlement of debts owed in previous lives. So how can this debt be paid in the most perfect way? What kind of mentality should sentient beings have when facing these debt collectors? Guanyin Bodhisattva's question hit the nail on the head, which was also the key to everyone's doubts. Buddha turned his gaze to Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. His eyes revealed deep compassion, and he said, Good Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, you have asked the key point. Disease is indeed a debt owed in the previous life, and the way to repay the debt contains the secret of liberation. The Buddha's words made everyone prick up their ears, and Nandu leaned forward, afraid to miss a word of the Buddha. This teaching was related to whether he could be free from the root of illness and suffering. Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva clasped his hands respectfully and said, World-honored one, sentient beings create karma due to ignorance, and suffer from illness in this life. It is indeed the manifestation of cause and effect. However, since the debt of the previous life has been incurred, how should it be settled in this life? Can we only endure it silently and let the karma be consumed naturally? Her question revealed the confusion and helplessness of sentient beings when facing the karmic debts of previous lives. The Buddha smiled and said, No. Although the karmic debt is fixed, there are clever ways to repay it. Just like the worldly debt, some people only know how to bear it, worrying day and night, and suffering unspeakably. Some people know how to adapt, not only easily repaying the debt, but also turning a disaster into a blessing. The Buddha's analogy gave everyone a new expectation for repaying karmic debts, and everyone was eager to learn about this clever way of repayment. Nandu asked eagerly, Master, please teach me this clever way of repayment. I am eager to listen. His eyes were full of expectation, as if he had seen the hope of getting rid of illness and pain. The Buddha looked at the expectant eyes of the disciples and slowly said, I will now tell you 3 ways to repay the debt. This method has been known by few people for thousands of years. If you can follow the teachings, you can not only reduce the suffering of illness in this world, but also completely get rid of the bondage of reincarnation. The Buddha's words were like a heavy bomb, which aroused huge waves in everyone's hearts. Everyone was looking forward to the Buddha revealing this supreme method. Just as the Buddha was about to reveal this supreme dharma, a myriad of colorful lights suddenly appeared in the sky, as if the whole world was illuminated. Indra appeared from the light, wearing gorgeous celestial clothes under the dazzling crown on his head, emitting a sacred and majestic light. Indra bowed to the Buddha and said respectfully, Buddha, as the Lord of the 33 heavens, I have also seen countless heavenly beings trapped by karma and suffering from illness. Only by understanding the debt settlement method you mentioned, can we transcend the sea of suffering. Please be merciful and explain this method in detail to all beings in heaven and on earth. Indra's request made everyone more aware of the importance of this method and filled everyone with more expectations for the Buddha's teachings. Avalokitesvara put his hands together and said, Yes, world-honored one, the method of settling debts from past lives is the foundation for all living beings to escape from suffering and obtain happiness. I have seen many living beings who are also burdened with karmic debts. Some are sinking into suffering, while others take the opportunity to transcend. What is the mystery of this method of settlement? How should living beings face the debt collection from these creditors from past lives? Her words once again expressed the doubts in everyone's hearts and also prompted the Buddha to begin to explain this important method in detail. The Buddha solemnly taught, Avalokitesvara, there are 3 ways to repay the debts of past lives. The first is to know the debts, the second is to repay the debts, and the third is to eliminate the debts. Knowing the debts means understanding the nature of karma. Because of ignorance and delusion, sentient beings create all kinds of evil karma. It is inevitable that they will suffer from illness and pain in this life. If you understand this principle, do not blame others, stay in the present, and be at peace in your heart, then the pain will naturally be alleviated. The Buddha picked up a petal and gently placed it in the palm of his hand, then continued, "The petal seems to be as light as a feather, but if I clench it into a fist, I can feel its presence." The same is true for illness and pain. If the mind is relaxed, the pain will be lighter. If the mind is attached, the pain will be aggravated. Have you noticed that when we pay special attention to the pain in a certain part of the body, the pain seems to become more obvious, but when we relax and divert our attention, the pain will be alleviated. This is a modern interpretation of what the Buddha said. If the mind is relaxed, the pain will be lighter. If the mind is attached, the pain will be aggravated. Avalokitesvara nodded in agreement and said, "What the Buddha said is very true. I once saw an old practitioner who was suffering from illness, but always smiling. I asked him why, and he replied that his physical body was sick, but his Dharma body was fine. If the mind is not stained, how can there be illness and pain? This is the wisdom of knowing debts. The so-called repayment of debts is to use good deeds to dissolve bad karma." The Buddha continued, "Just like owing a debt of thousands of gold, if you can pay back part of it on time, the creditor will not force you too much. Sentient beings can recite scriptures, repent, practice charity, observe precepts diligently, and treat others with kindness. They can not only reduce their current illness and suffering, but also eliminate past bad karma." Nanduo asked anxiously, "Buddha, what is the specific method of repaying debts?" The Buddha replied compassionately, "First, worship Buddha and repent with sincerity and honesty without hiding anything. Second, give alms and do good deeds according to one's ability without asking for anything in return. Third, observe the precepts and practice according to the law and the rules without violating or breaking them. Fourth, recite the sutras and chant the Buddha's name with a single-minded focus, without doubt or confusion. The 4 methods are the key to repaying debts. The so-called debt repayment is to use the wisdom of prana to see the emptiness thoroughly." The Buddha's eyes shone and his voice was like a loud bell. If you can understand that illness and pain are originally empty, and both the subject and the object are gone, then the creditor will disappear by himself and the karma will be eliminated by himself. The Buddha said again, "Nanda, you should know that the supreme, profound and subtle Dharma is difficult to encounter in 100,000 kalpas. I will now briefly explain its key points to you. The mind is the Buddha, and the Buddha is the mind. If you can reflect on your own mind and abide in the pure nature, you will transcend karma and will not be bound by illness and pain." Avalokitesvara added, "In the past countless kalpas, I made a great vow that if any sentient being calls my name, I will hear their voice and save them from suffering. If sentient beings in the world are suffering from illness and pain, they can recite my name with all their heart, and I will protect their hearts and bring them peace. Although I cannot immediately eliminate the pain, I can help them feel happy and relieve their pain." Dr. Kibo suddenly realized and said, "Master, I understand why some patients cannot recover even with good medicine, while some patients can recover even without medicine. It turns out that in addition to medicine, the spiritual attitude is more important." Buddha praised and said, "Good Kibo, you have realized the true meaning of a doctor. To cure a disease, you must not only cure the body, but also the mind. If you can help patients let go of their attachments, resentment, and fear, the efficacy of the medicine can be increased by 3 points." These words triggered our deep thinking. Modern medicine has confirmed that a positive and optimistic attitude can indeed promote recovery from illness, while negative and pessimistic emotions will suppress the function of the immune system. The wisdom of the Buddha 2500 years ago has finally been scientifically confirmed today. Nandu asked again, Master, how should ordinary people like us face illness in our daily lives? The Buddha kindly replied, first, accept reality. Do not resent or hate. Understand that illness is the karma of previous lives and accept it if it comes. Second, seek treatment. Do not doubt or give up. Seek medical treatment, but do not be obsessed with recovery. Third, practice good deeds, neither rush nor slow. Recite scriptures and worship Buddha. Give alms and do good deeds, and slowly dissolve past bad karma. Fourth, practice meditation. Do not be confused or ignorant. Calm the mind through meditation and reduce physical. These 4 suggestions are both practical and profound. Accepting reality does not mean waiting for death passively, but facing it rationally. Seeking treatment does not mean blindly believing in medicine, but not being obsessed with the results. Practicing good deeds and meditation is a way to fundamentally transform karma. After the Dharma assembly, Nanduo began to reflect deeply on himself and practice good deeds according to the Buddha's teachings. Every morning, before dawn, he got up early and went to the Buddha hall to respectfully worship Buddha, then repent in front of the Buddha statue. He closed his eyes, put his hands together, and silently recalled his past actions. He sincerely confessed his inner regret to the Buddha, not hiding any mistakes, hoping to get the Buddha's forgiveness and blessing. After the worship, he began to chant scriptures with a loud and pious voice. Every word seemed to carry his admiration for the Dharma and his desire for liberation. In daily life, Nandaga also did his best to give alms and do good deeds. He often went deep into poor villages to deliver food to those who lived in poverty, clothing and daily necessities. Seeing the bright smiles of the children because of the new clothes, and seeing the old people no longer hungry because of the food, Nandu's heart was filled with joy and satisfaction. He also sponsored many poor students, so that they could have the opportunity to receive education and change their destiny. He did not ask for anything in return, but only hoped to bring a little warmth and hope to others through his good deeds. At the same time, Nandu also chanted the holy name of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. No matter where he went, he would chant it in his mouth, thinking of the compassion and salvation of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva in his heart. Miraculously, as time went by, his condition gradually improved. In less than half a year, he, who was so weak that he could hardly walk, was able to move freely, and his body pain was also reduced by half. It is worth noting that Nandu's change is not only physical, but more importantly the change in mentality. He no longer regards illness as an enemy, but as a settlement of karmic debts in previous lives, and a helper for practice in this life. He began to cherish every moment and feel the beauty of life with his heart. He would listen to the singing of birds in the early morning, appreciate the afterglow of the sunset in the evening, and convey ardent warmth in his interactions with others. This change in mentality accelerated the recovery of his condition. He came to Kiyuan Temple again, and bowed to the Buddha to express his gratitude. Master, your teachings are like nectar empowerment, which made me understand the true meaning of life. Now I am no longer afraid of illness, but thank it for giving me the opportunity to practice good deeds and reflect on life. The Buddha smiled and said, Well done, Nanduo, you understand the true meaning of illness. It is not only the settlement of debts, owed in previous lives, but also the cause of practice in this life. If there is no illness, people are often addicted to entertainment and rarely wake up with illness. It can inspire renunciation and compassion. This passage reveals another meaning of illness. It is not only a manifestation of karma, but also an opportunity for us to awaken. Just as many people start to pay attention to health and re-examine their lifestyle after they get sick, some people even change their outlook on life because of illness and become more appreciative of life and caring for others. Avalokiteshvara also warned the public, all living beings should know that although illness and suffering are caused by karma, karma is not fixed. If you can practice diligently and plant good causes, you can not only reduce the suffering of illness in this life, but also cut off the root of reincarnation in the next life. As the saying goes, if you know the cause of the previous life, you will suffer in this life. If you know the result of the next life, you will do it in this life. Plant good causes today and you will reap good results in the future. The Buddha concluded, disease is like a mirror, reflecting the karma of the previous life. Disease is like a teacher, teaching the principle of impermanence. Disease is like a friend, helping us grow wisdom. If you can face the disease with a positive attitude, you can not only reduce the pain, but also use this cause and condition to practice diligently and finally achieve liberation. At the end of the Dharma assembly, everyone was filled with joy and deeply understood the teachings of Avalokiteshvara. Disease is the settlement of debts owed in previous lives. Only by paying the debts correctly can we be free from illness and gain true freedom of body and mind. Looking back on the wisdom we learned today, we can draw several important inspirations. First, disease is the manifestation of karma, but it is not an unchangeable fate. As the Buddha said, karma follows us everywhere, but it can be transformed through our actions in this world. We should neither completely deny the power of medicine nor blindly believe that medicine can solve all problems. Medicine is one of the convenient ways to reduce karma. It can help us relieve physical pain, but we cannot rely solely on medicine. We also need to change our hearts and behaviors. Secondly, the mentality when facing illness is crucial. Pessimism and fear will only increase pain, while acceptance and calmness can alleviate suffering. As the old practitioner said, the physical body is sick, but the Dharma body is fine. If the mind is not stained, how can there be illness and pain? Our mentality determines how we feel and how we deal with illness. When we face illness with a positive and optimistic attitude, we can better mobilize the body's immunity, cooperate with treatment, and thus accelerate recovery. On the contrary, a negative mentality will make us fall into the abyss of pain and unable to extricate ourselves. Third, the three methods of knowing debts, repaying debts, and eliminating debts provide us with a complete path to deal with illness. Understanding cause and effect is the key to getting rid of fear and complaints about illness. When we truly understand the karmic roots behind illness, we will no longer regard illness as a disaster without cause, but as a reminder of past behavior by life. This cognition can allow us to accept the current situation with a more peaceful mindset and no longer fall into self-blame of, why me? The practice of repaying debts requires us to continue to take action in life. Worshipping Buddha and repenting is not a simple form, but to generate regret from the bottom of our hearts, reflect on past words and deeds, and promise not to repeat the same mistakes. Giving alms and doing good deeds should not be utilitarian. Whether it is helping strangers around us or contributing to public welfare, every good deed is like repaying the debt of the previous life, and at the same time accumulating new good causes for ourselves. Keeping precepts and practicing can regulate our behavior and keep us away from evil karma in life. Chanting scriptures and reciting Buddha can purify the mind and enhance the inner strength. The state of debt elimination is a profound understanding of wisdom. When we gradually understand emptiness through practice, we will understand that the so-called illness and karma are essentially illusory. This understanding does not deny the existence of disease, but transcends the attachment to disease and transforms disease into a helpful practice. Just like the great Zen masters, even if they are sick, they can still meditate and gain enlightenment during the illness, turning the pain of illness into an opportunity for enlightenment. Finally, illness is not only pain, but also an opportunity for growth. It allows us to reflect on the meaning of life, cherish our current health, and cultivate compassion for others. After experiencing a serious illness, many people begin to re-examine their lives, let go of the pursuit of fame and fortune, and pay more attention to the nourishment of the soul and the emotional connection with others. They begin to understand that health is not taken for granted, and every moment of being able to move freely and feel life is worth being grateful for. This change in mentality is the precious gift that illness gives us. In modern society, we are often caught up in the fast-paced life and various desires, and rarely have time to stop and think about the essence of life. And illness is like a pause, button that is suddenly pressed, forcing us to stop and face our own hearts. When we look at illness with the wisdom of Buddhism, we can turn this pause button into a restart button and return to life with a new attitude. Perhaps we can look at illness from a new perspective. It is both a settlement of karmic debts from previous lives and an accelerator for practice in this life. Facing it correctly, we can not only alleviate the pain, but also take this opportunity to embark on the path of awakening and liberation. In the journey of life, illness may be inevitable, but we can choose how to face it. May the wisdom of Buddha and Avalokiteshvara become our beacon when facing illness, guiding us out of the haze of pain and towards the light of health and liberation. When we integrate this wisdom into our lives, maintain inner peace and determination when facing illness, and actively practice the methods of knowing debts, repaying debts, and eliminating debts, one day we will find that illness is no longer a terrible enemy, but a good teacher and friend who helps us grow and awaken. In this way we can face all situations with a calm attitude in this world, full of impenitence, and keep moving forward on the path of practice until we gain true freedom and liberation.